We're back with another adventure into a wild club build. I've been loving this series because one, I love to build clubs, and two, I love seeing some of the really cool stuff that's out there in the world of golf. And today we're going to build a set of wedges, another set of wedges, and this set is absolutely amazing. We're going to use heads from JP Golf. If you're not familiar with JP Golf, JP Harrington has been making wedges since '06, his own wedges since 2010. These are the premier wedges, which are just bonkers cool. We've got some really cool shafts from VA Composites, the brand new Sinister 120s. Got some BB&F ferrules and some Golf Pride MCC grips in different colors. So this one's going to be a really cool one. The thing I love about building these is not only are these things that look amazing, these wedges are going to look so cool, all the colors, the graphics, all the stuff, but it's super functional and really, really high performing stuff. So both those things combined, I think, make this a crazy wild build. So back here behind me are these cool 3 foil kind of bags that have some really wild heads in them in terms of colors, design, all that. We're going to bust into these. And then, of course, like I said, VA Composites with the Sinister shaft, which, you know, really cool design. I think in terms of shaft graphics, VA Composites is probably just leading the field in how cool they make their shafts look. And, you know, as usual, some BB&F ferrules and 3 different color Golf Pride MCC grips. So going to be exciting, going to be a fun one, and let's start unboxing and taking a look at some of these components that are going into this pretty crazy build. All right, so here we go. We've got the wedge heads here. I actually don't know what the order they're in. I did open them to take a look at them earlier, I won't lie, but I had to take a look just to see, and now I don't know what order they're in. So let's take a look at these things. They're going to be pretty amazing, I know that. And oh, here's the first one, which is the 56. So this is the black finish 56, all black. You actually get to choose your colors on this in terms of paint, fill, and all that. But these are pretty cool. These are mid bounce, as you can see by the 2 rings on the bottom. These are mid bounce wedges. The big thing about the JP wedges is, one, the premiers are multi-piece. So it's a forged head, titanium back. Inside, there's like 2 pieces of tungsten. There's some weighting out here. There's also some internal, like, injected tungsten to get the weight and everything, the CG just perfect. Totally milled faces. Really, really classic look from a dress, but then on the back is really awesome. And the other thing that JP's been doing forever is this cambered sole. So a ton of roundness, really rounded leading edge. And what this does is just reduces digging, makes these things really playable, reduce divot size, all that. And he's got a low bounce, mid bounce, and high bounce options in his wedges. But this cambered sole, I've played these before in non-premiers and just his other wedge, and they actually get through the turf really well, especially in soft conditions. So really great playing wedges. And these ones, I mean, the teal blue, the gloss black, the yellow, these are just, I mean, spectacular looking. So that is the 56. Let's jump into the next one here. See what one this is. This is going to be the 60. So, I mean, this is just cool with the machine blue on this titanium plate, lime green JPs, the pink 60 on there. And same thing, this construction is just really cool how he's done this. I mean, that sole milling there, the lines in there, just really, really classy. And the cool thing is, you know, no matter how kind of crazy that looks, you know, back there, when you look at it from a dress, it just has a really classic shape to it. Just slightly rounded leading edge, but a really good shape. I mean, he took the time to make sure these things look really good. So that's the lob wedge there with this kind of blue, etched in blue back on there. And then the final one is going to be the gap wedge. And this one is going to have the kind of platinum, as they call it, backing on it, kind of a magenta JP logo, and the copperish 50 on there. But again, the 2 rings on here mean mid bounce. All these they're mids, premier on the back. But this one's probably the most conservative of them all, and still pretty amazing looking with that cool black finish. It really, it's hard to get it on camera here. It looks way better than you know, in person than it does on camera. So a little narrower sole, but still well cambered, and going to play really well in those soft conditions. But yeah, a gap wedge here looks really, really solid from a dress. So these are the 3 heads. We got a 50, a 56, and a 60. And these things, I mean, I'm just blown away at how cool these things look. So really awesome there. And those are the wedge heads. Now for shafts, we're going to go with the brand new VA Composites Sinister 120. So the Sinister is a shaft they started making in woods, VA Composites did, and it was kind of their low launch shaft, something that kind of come out there and help players who wanted lower launch, spin control, and they brought this into an iron as well. So this is kind of a mid-low launching shaft, a little bit heavier at 120. I think the original one that came out was 110s. They now have come out with a 120. But this thing, really cool graphics. I mean, the paint splatter on here, the little kind of face on there looks awesome. I mean, Victor and his crew over at VA have just done amazing jobs on graphics on shafts, but they also are really good performing. These things feel really smooth, extremely solid. I hit the 110 iron shaft a little while ago, but this one here, 120 grams. We're going to do it a little different. These are parallel tip, so we're going to tip these a little differently. For the wedge, VA says to tip 3.5 inches for the wedges. So we're going to do the gap wedge at 3.5, the sand wedge at 3, and the lob wedge at 2.5. We're going to kind of taper them so they play just a little bit softer, since I don't really hit full shots other than with the gap wedge. But these things super stable, really smooth feel, really solid, and of course, the graphics on them are pretty nuts. All right, then to finish it off, we are going to go with some BB&F ferrules. BB&F makes some just amazing ferrules. I mean, just any color combination under the sun, it seems like they make it. I actually ordered a kind of 2 packs of just their random, like they do a random pack, and they'll send you, I think it's 10 or whatever, just random ferrules. Like none of them match. So I ordered 2 packs of those, and these are the ones we're going to go with. I just kind of picked these colors out. Again, I can tell you that the black one is probably not going to go with the black head. We're going to mix these up, make it pretty cool. But I love the fact that you can, either match, contrast, whatever, any of your builds. Now, these things are tight. They're built kind of for taper tip shafts. So before I've already done it, I actually drill these out with a 370 bit and make these things a little bit bigger. So, because I'm using 370 shafts. So I actually ream these out just a little bit to make them slide on easier. But super high quality, really nice stuff. Love the gloss finish, all that on there. And these are going to look really good with this build. So that's just kind of the final finishing touch. And this is our setup for our wedge set. And I mean, I'm pretty excited. I can't wait to build this. It's going to be flat out amazing. So for the first step on these, we're going to take these shafts, the VA Composite Sinister 120s, we're going to tip them. And we got to prep the tip. So we got to tip them, the amount we're going to tip them, and then we got to sand them down a little bit, because these are 370 parallel shafts, and those heads are built for 355 taper tips. So these ones here, I'm going to do a little progressive tipping in a sense. If you look at VA Composites tipping chart, they say wedge, pitching wedge, and below it's 3.5 inches is what you're going to tip this shaft. So what I'm going to do is on the gap wedge, I'm going to tip that one 3.5. I play a little bit more closer to full shots with that, so I'm going to want it to play similar to the pitching wedge in terms of feel. But then I'm going to only tip 3 inches for the sand wedge, because I really don't hit too many full shots of the sand wedge. It's all kind of partial shots closer to the green. And then the lob wedge, I'm going to do 2.75 inches. So a little bit progressive, make these things play just a little bit softer as you get on the set. My lob wedge is pretty much used right around the green. If I'm short-sighted, anything like that, I'm not swinging it full almost ever, and I play it out of the bunker. So a little softer in the wedges will give a little bit more feel, and we'll have a kind of full swing club in the gap wedge. So I'm going to tip these kind of progressively through the set. Again, you can kind of mix and match and work with your fitter to tip what you need in each iron in your bag. But that's what I'm going to set up for the wedges. So let's trim them, and then we got to sand them down to make them taper instead of parallel. All right, so once you have the tips cut, then you're going to have to go through and actually sand these down. So these are 370 parallel, so 0.37 inches, wide. But this one here, you're going to have to take it down to 355. So these you got to sand down. If you've never done this before, I would say use it by hand. Use some sandpaper and just slowly work it. And what I would do is you'd sand it a little bit and then test it, put it in the head. Okay, it doesn't fit yet. And then sand it down to get it the right spot. I'm going to use my belt sander. I've done this a few times. So if you use a belt sander, it takes off a lot of material and you cannot go backwards. So when you do this, if you're starting out, like I said, start with some sandpaper like 80, 100 grit and just slowly sand it down till you get it to fit right. If you have a set of like, digital calipers, you can kind of measure it. That works too. But I'm going to do it with belt sander, and I kind of do the same thing. I take a little bit of material off, and then I kind of test fit it to see if it fits. And I also may check it with some calipers. So we're going to go ahead and sand this down, or all three down, and make sure they fit in these taper tip heads. All right, so now we're going to measure these things up so we can cut them, because I like to cut before I swing weight them. So we'll go with the 60 here. It's the first one I grabbed, and I play my stuff off basically Vokey standards. So I'm going to play a lob wedge at 35, and then 35 and a quarter for the sand, and then 35 and a half for the, or 35 and a quarter for the gap. So I'm going to go ahead and measure these up and get them cut. That's a lob wedge, gap wedge. I'm not doing this in order, which is probably bad, but check the swing weight on these guys. Hit those 60. Yep, 60. And then, all right. Pretty much D3. So that's pretty much where I like to be. I'm not super heavy with the wedges, so D3 there. And thickness to it, but it holds up really well. It's not quite 8810, but it's about half the price, so All right, so the wedges are done drying. It's actually the next day. I didn't need to wait 24 hours, but just had other stuff going on. So next day, the wedges are dried. Usually this is where I would actually turn the ferrules, but these things, honestly, these BB&Fs and these JP wedges fit really, really well together. I mean, if you run your nail, there's a touch of a ledge. I mean, I guess I could technically turn that down, but you really can't feel or see that thing. So next we're going to do, go ahead and re-grip these bad boys. Again, like I said, we're going to use these, I got 3 MCC grips from Golf Pride, all different colors. So let's mix and match. This blue one, definitely not getting the blue. We're probably going to go maybe white on this one to kind of match a little bit, contrast, whatever, but let's grip them up and they're going to be pretty close to done. All right, so of course, rubber shaft clamp, toss that on here, just like so. Set it in your vise, make sure your grip is over your, or the area you're going to grip is over your catch pan. Set it on in there. Tighten it up, not too crazy. And then you want to make sure those grooves are horizontal. They're perfectly like 90 degrees. That way, you know, your grip's going on straight. Don't look at the club head and where the leading edge is. Just look at the grooves and make sure they're up and down. I like to, what do I say, white? We're going to go white here. So we're going to go, I like to measure this out and mark it lately. It just makes getting that tape on there a little easier. But take it there, kind of mark it where your grip ends, and then we're going to put some double-sided tape. Now, everybody kind of does their double-sided tape a little differently. I'm a one-wrap guy or one-piece guy. I don't do anything too crazy in terms of, you know, wild buildups or anything. I've messed around with doing some, you know, lower hand stuff, building it up so there's less taper, things like that. But at the end of the day, I've always just gone back to just doing one piece of double-sided. And then once your tape is on there, you want to wrap it around and try to make sure that it isn't wrinkled or bunched up anywhere. Feels pretty smooth, because you'll feel some of that in there. So then you take your grip, plug the hole at the bottom with your finger, take your solvent, pour it in there, and if you haven't done grips a while, a little more solvent never hurts. More solvent the better. Have a little towel ready, and then just pour on your solvent. So it's on there, and then kind of get the end of the grip over in one motion. Just toss that bad boy on there, and it is going to squirt out a little bit at you. That's okay. That's why you should probably wear clothes that don't matter, and or a little bit of an apron. And then just make sure it's kind of straight. Wipe up all your excess solvent, and you're done. All right, so there they are. They completed the kind of craziest wedge set you've probably ever seen. These JP Premier wedges are just insane. Awesome BB&F ferrules, the sinister shafts from VA Composites, and of course, you know, colorful grips from Golf Pride on MCCs. These things are just absolutely spectacular. I think they're going to be really cool. Most of these I don't want to play because once I build them, I'm like, oh, the set's too good looking. I think these ones I'm going to go play. So let's take them outside, get them in the sunlight, I'm gonna end the video with some cool B-roll of some shots of these glistening in the sun, but I can tell you one thing, the camera doesn't do it justice. So thanks for following along with this build, and we'll just do another one soon. Let's go find some more cool golf stuff.